Hello everyone. In this lecture, we are going to learn some theoretical part of the toggle switch or toggle button and practical implementation of the same. Okay. So in Android, toggle switch or toggle button is a very useful control which is used to switch on and switch off some particular entities. Right. In Android, a toggle button is used to display say checked or unchecked conditions or states, and sometimes these checked and unchecked conditions are also called as the on and off condition or off states. And it is beneficial if user have to change the setting between two states. It means some application may have two states, on and off. So for example, suppose on our mobile Android mobile phone or any mobile phone, this toggle switch or toggle button can be used to make music sound of the music on or off, or to switch on or switch off the Wi-Fi, or to switch on or switch off the Bluetooth device. Similarly, we can use the toggle switch in Android phone to enable or disable our mobile data. Okay, so that type of switches are called as the toggle switches or toggle buttons. As shown in this particular GIF image, there are two states. Currently this is off state, which is indicated by the gray color and cross mark, and it is the on state, which indicated by the right tick and green color. Okay, so these are the example of toggle switch or toggle button. Then by default, an Android toggle switch will be in off state. It means it will be in unchecked state, but this state can be changed by using a property called as the checked. It means Android colon checked attribute, and this attribute should be set to the value of true in order to change its states. In Android, this is the class hierarchy of the toggle button or toggle switch. Okay, it means toggle button is the subclass. It means it is derived from the comport button base class, and comport button base class is derived from the button is from text view from view, and view is derived from the object class. Right. Then there are some XML attributes of the toggle button class which are shown in this first table. So first attribute is called as the disabled alpha, right? And it indicates that the alpha to apply to the indicator when it is disabled. Similarly, it has another two attributes, that is text off and text on. So text off indicates the text of the button when the button is not checked. It means when it is unchecked state, what should be its text? It will be specified by using this text of property. Similarly, text on property indicates the text of the toggle button when its state is on. Okay, likewise, toggle button class have some methods which are important to implement the toggle switch. For example, first method is the get text off. It returns the object of type character sequence, and whenever this function is called, it returns the text when the button is not in the checked text. It means whenever toggle switch is in off state, then whatever text property of that button will be there, that text will be extracted by this particular get text off method. Similarly, get text on method is used to extract the text of toggle button when it is in on state. And third method is called as the set checked, which return nothing. It means its return type is void, but it accepts one parameter which is of type boolean. It may be, it means true, or it may be a false. Okay, and this particular set checked method is used to change a checked state of the button, right? It means if the this boolean value is true, then the state of that particular toggle button will be on state or checked state, and whenever the value of this boolean variable is false, then the state of the toggle button will be off state, or it will be in unchecked state. Right. Then how to create a toggle button in XML layout file? Simple way to create a toggle button is clearly in the XML layout file. So snapshot is shown here. This is one relative layout, and in this relative layout only one button is say control is there, that is called as the toggle button, and there are some properties which are set to this toggle button. For example, ID is toggle 1, then this is width, height, left margin, top margin. These are the common parameters which we have already seen in case of other controls as well. Here the important properties or attributes of the toggle button are this checked, Android dot checked. Okay, this value is set to true. It means by default, whenever your application will be running on a device, then a state of of this particular toggle switch will be set to the true. It means it will be set to the on position. Okay, and remaining two parameters are text off and text on. So text off is set to the OWF and text on is set to the ON. It means whenever your switch will be in off state, then the text of your toggle button will be displayed as off. Whenever switch is make on, then its the text of that toggle button will be set to the ON or on. Okay, sometimes we can say set it as a no and yes. It means whenever button is off, then the text will be showing no text, and whenever button is switched on, it will be set, or it will be yes display a text of button as a yes. We will see in detail in the implementation part. Then, as I said earlier, every control can be created using two way. One way is to create it in XML or layout file, and another way is to create it dynamically using say one of the activity or .java file. Right. So this particular snapshot or code snippet explains you or represents you how to create a toggle button in the activity file. Okay. So here we have declared one object of type relative layout class, and we are mapping this object with our layout which we have defined in our XML file by using find by ID and passing the ID of layout which we have defined in the layout file. Then here we have created the object of toggle button class. So toggle button TB equal to new toggle button, and this is the current context. Okay, and we are setting three parameters of this toggle button, that is tb dot set text off, set text on, and set checked. Okay, so text whenever button is in off state, its text will be off. When it is on state, its text will be on. And tb dot set test is to this particular method a true value is passed. It means by default whenever your application will be running, so at the beginning its state will be set to the on position or say checked position, and at the end we are adding this particular toggle button to this layout which is of type relative layout. So layout dot add view and tb. Okay, so it will create one toggle button and it will add to this relative layout. So in this way we can create a button in the activity file as well. Right, now how to handle an Android toggle button click events. It means when we have seen the example of simple button, and we have also seen how to implement click event handling of the simple button. So here we will see the toggle buttons click event handling. Right. So whenever user clicks on a toggle button, it can be detected whether toggle button is on or it is in off state. Right. And toggle button click event is handled in the activity file using a listener called as the set on checked change listener. Okay, so this listener continuously listens for the state of that particular toggle button which is registered with this particular listener, and whenever there is a change in the state of that particular toggle toggle button. So this listener will call the handler function. Handler function, in this case, handler function is called as the on checked changed, right? So here, in order to implement click event handling of the toggle button, we need to define or create one object of the toggle button as shown here. So toggle button toggle is equal to, then we have using find view by id to map our definition of which we have defined in the layout file of that particular toggle button to this object of the toggle button. And then on this object of toggle button we are registering the say this on check change listener. That is why here toggle we have called toggle dot set on checked change listener, and these are the parameters. Okay. And under this particular on click listener, on checked change listener, the handler method is whose name is the on checked changed, and it has again two parameters. So first one is of type compound button and another is of type boolean type. See, boolean, it means true or false. Okay. So this second variable is very important to detect whether the button toggle button is on or in off state, right? So whenever user clicks on the toggle button, then this particular listener came into the picture, and this listener calls this on checked changed handler function, and whatever code we have written here, it will be executed. In this case, simply we are checking if this state of this particular is checked variable. Okay, if is checked, it means if value of is checked variable is true, then that toggle button is set to true or set to on position. Okay, it means toggle button is enabled. Or it means else if it is false, then toggle button is disabled. So in this way we can implement click event handling of the toggle button. Okay. So here this particular comment section, in actual implementation your code will be changed depending upon your requirement. Okay. So there are some certain attributes of toggle button control. You simply go through this table, read it carefully, and you will come to know what is the meaning of each attribute. There is no need to explain this in detail. This is continued slide from the previous slide, which again contains some attributes. Okay, now we'll see one Android toggle button example. So this is a code snippet of the activity_main.xml file of this particular example. Here there is a relative layout which start at this point and ends at this point. Okay, and this relative layout has three controls. Out of three controls, two controls are toggle buttons and one control is a simple button. Okay, so its layout will be like this one. So this toggle button, this is toggle button 1 and this is toggle button 2. In this case, this is one toggle button and this is second toggle button. Okay. Regarding properties of the toggle button, the first toggle button's ID is toggle 1, and these are the remaining say attributes like height, width, height, left margin, right margin, and by default it is set to the true position. It means it will be an on position. So that is why here by default when you run the application, it will show its state as on. Then its text off is set to off and text on is set to on. Okay, that is why right now this button is set to the on position by passing the true variable to this checked position, and that's why its text is showing on, because we have set text on property to the on, right? If we have set to the text on property to the yes, then it might be showing the yes text here. Similarly, toggle button 2 we have the ID of toggle 2, then it is width, height, then bottom margin and say the right margin or place of the this button to the right of toggle switch 1. So these two buttons are residing say side by side. That's why to the right of property is set to the ID of toggle 1 button. It means this toggle button will be displayed to the right side of toggle button 1, which is shown here. And observe here, its Android colon text off is set to off and text on is set to on. Okay, and as I said earlier, by default the state of toggle button switch is off state. Okay, that is why here we are not changing its default state to the another state. That is why here its state is showing as off state. Okay, and last control is the button control. This is simple button whose ID is the get btn, and these are the width, height, left margin and top margin, and its text property is set to the submit. That's why it is showing as the submit as a text. Okay, so this is the layout of this particular activity or activity underscore main.xml file. Now we will see the .java file of the same activity. So it is as shown here. So up to this point, this is a typical code. Now observe here, we are declared 3 objects out of 2 objects belongs to the toggle button. So toggle button TB1, toggle button TB2, and it is defined as a final. It means these are the constant variable or constant objects which will not be changed. Okay, and these toggle buttons are mapped with their respective definitions which we are defined in the XML layout file. So toggle button 1 is mapped with the TB1 button, toggle button 2 is mapped with the toggle TB2 object of the toggle button. And remember, it is achieved using find by ID method. Similarly, we have created one object of type button class, and again we are mapping this object with the our simple button by again using the same function find by ID. Okay, and this is the registration of the listener for the toggle button. So here we are calling set on click listener on the our simple button, say btn get. Okay, and whenever that simple button will be clicked, then this on set on click listener will call this on click handler function, and whatever code you have written here, it will be executed. In this case, what we are doing, we are displaying one simple toast message that will display this static string which is toggle button 1, then colon, and this is a dynamic text now. So tb1 is the object of toggle button 1. So tb1 dot get text. So whatever text it has, depending upon the state of that particular button, it will get or extract the text property of that particular toggle button. If it is in off state, so it will extract a text as a OWF, and if it is in on state, it will extract the state as a ON text, right? And again, it is converted to the string using toString function, right? And then we are concatenating the second string in the next line using /n, and here again this is a static string which displays toggle button 2 then colon, and we are doing same here as that of the previous one. So tb2 is the object of toggle button 2, and we are extracting its text, or whatever it may be on or it may be off, and we are converting into the string value, and then it is the duration property of the toast class, and we are showing that particular text, right? And this will be the output. I have created a GIF of this particular output here. So here initially first switch is on, another is off, and when you click on submit button, so this see here, this is toggle button is one is on, another is off. Right, now we will see some implementation details of the same example. So code is same there. Now just I will run the application, and I will show you on the emulator how it works. Okay, so I have created here a toggle button example Android application, and this is the code of say activity underscore main.xml file. This code is same which I have explained in theoretical explanation. I think there is no need to explain it again. If you see its design view, then this is this one. This is toggle button 1. By default, means initially it is set to the on position, and this is toggle button 2. By default its position, its state will be off, and it is a simple button. It is a simple button, and when this button is clicked, then whatever state of this button that will be shown in the form of toast message here somewhat in at this position. Okay, now we will go through the .java code. So this is main activity.java file. Okay, I have already explained this particular all code in the theoretical explanation. So simply I will run the application and we will observe the behavior of this particular application. Right, I have already opened this particular emulator to save our time, so I will set that one and click OK. Right, so here it is execution is in progress, and activity is running on the emulator. Okay, now see here, if you see our layout file, this is toggle button 1, which is this one, and this is toggle button 2, which is whose definition is here. Now here we have set Android check property to true. That is why by at initial state it is showing as on state, but in second case, it means in case of toggle button 2, we haven't set any property such as a Android checked. Okay, and rule is that if we haven't explicitly changed the checked position by using the check property, then by default state of that particular toggle button will be off state. That is why here the second button's position or its state is showing as a off state. Okay, now as soon as I click on the submit button here, so it will call this event, this set on click listener will be activated, and it will call this on click function, and this code will be executed. What we have done here, this is toggle button 1 is the static string, and here we are getting text property of the toggle button. TB1 means toggle button 1. So text property of toggle button 1 is on or on, whereas the text property of toggle button 2, that is TB2. Remember here we are concatenating new line character. So in a toast message, next string will be displayed to the new line, and that new line will start with toggle button 2, then colon, this is again static string, and then we are concatenating this static string with some dynamic string which will be extracted by this particular statement, and that is we are extracting text property of the toggle button 2, so tv.getText, and we are converting that to the string using toString function. Okay, so if you observe the here current states of the button, then text property of the toggle button 2 is off or OFF, right? So it will extract this OFF and it will display a message toggle button colon off. Okay, so when I click on the submit button, it will display toggle button 1 colon on and toggle button 2 colon off. Observe it carefully what happens. So as I said earlier, output is likewise. Now I will make this first button off by clicking on this particular button. Okay, so this is off. Now both buttons are off. So output will be toggle button 1 off, toggle button 2 also off. Observe here, both buttons are off. Okay, now I will make the second button on. Okay, now it is on. Observe here, when button is on, then it has some pink outline at its bottom, whereas button off, there is a gray outline at this bottom. Now when I click on the submit button, then its output should be, or our toast message should be toggle button 1 off and toggle button 2 on. You see here, it is working properly, right? One more thing here is that it is not compulsory that the text property of toggle button should be only on and off. We can change it depending upon our requirement. For example, here text property of the first button is set to on and off. It means whenever button will be off, its text will be off, and whenever button is on state, its text will be on. Now I will change the text properties of this toggle button too. So here, what I want, whenever this toggle button 2 is on, so its text property should be yes, and whenever it is off state, its text property should be set to no, right? Now I will save this and I will rerun the program. The program is running, executing in background. It is in process and activity is restarted. If we observe here, okay, already our application was started and we had changed the property of the second button to on. That is why it is showing as a S by at initial position. Now I will close this application and again I will open it from the home screen. So name of our application is toggle button example. It is here. Okay. Now see here. It's by default. It means say state of the toggle button 1 is set to the true. That is why it is showing as on. Whereas text property of the toggle button 2 has not set explicitly to any value, and by default if any checked value is not set, then that state of the particular toggle button is the off state. And whenever we have set here, if the button is in off state, its text should be no, which is shown here. Now what I will do, I will click on this and its property should be toggle to the yes. Okay, so now it is showing yes, and now click on submit button and it will display toggle button 1 on, toggle button 2 yes, right? I will make it off and this also make it off. Now here two buttons are off, but its text property is different. The toggle button first have the text property of off OWF when it is in unchecked state, whereas the text property of toggle button 2 is set to the no whenever it is in off state. Now if I click on the submit button, it will show toggle button 1 off, toggle button 2 no. Okay, so in this way we can implement a toggle button in our application.